A new report says Prince Harry and Meghan Markle don't really like anything about each other.
I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
The real reason Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage is an empty sham. Constant drama and criticism are the only things holding them together.
Meghan Markle really did expect Harry to be a billionaire when she met him. She was incredibly disappointed to find out he's only worth a couple million, and she's going to have to actually work and hawk these jams and jellies and dog biscuits to have the lifestyle that she wants.
A man who she abandoned for months to the media and now presents her mother, Doria, speaking for the first time, telling outright lies about her ex-husband. I mean, this was a calculated attempt against the family.
The Sussex's bond is now only sustained by the controversies that regularly engulf their public lives.
One claim from royal biographer Tom Bower has sparked a fresh wave of debate about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage. And if his sources are accurate, it could completely change how some people view the couple's financial partnership. Bower believes a little-known legal detail may explain several decisions that have attracted attention over the past few years. While these claims remain unverified, they have become a major talking point among royal commentators because of Bower's long history of investigating high-profile public figures.
Tom Bower, the legendary royal author, is sharpening his quill for a new edition of his book set to reveal huge secrets inside Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage.
Whether people agree with his conclusions or not, Bower has become known for assembling detailed investigations supported by interviews, public records, and legal documentation. That reputation is one reason his latest claims about Harry and Meghan have generated so much discussion.
Well, you know, Piers, you're the first person to say how limited Prince Harry is, unfortunately, and how his wife trades off her husband's fame and fortune, or not so great fortune now. I mean, this is the problem, but we're still interested because, after all, he's a great character in our modern day.
And so he became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs.
For his biography, Revenge, Bower reportedly spoke with dozens of people connected to Meghan's life before and after joining the royal family. Reports surrounding the book have claimed those interviews included former palace employees, entertainment industry contacts, legal professionals, and others who had direct knowledge of various stages of her career. His supporters argue this method gives his reporting additional credibility, while critics believe some of his conclusions remain open to challenge. Now, Bower is drawing attention to what he alleges is an important provision connected to Harry and Meghan's financial arrangements.
Their latest potential PR stunt comes as rumours circulate of Meghan forcing a, quote, brand separation as she attempts to distance herself from her husband's victim narrative and forge a separate role.
Aggressive PR for the Sussexes got way beyond herself because she really doesn't understand the British royal family or Britain, but understands how to project her clients. And so I think she got it wrong by leaking it, or even letting anyone know about it.
According to his reported sources, there was language covering ownership of business ventures, intellectual property, and future earnings that could become extremely significant if the couple's financial relationship were ever to change. None of these claims have been independently confirmed, but they have fueled widespread speculation among royal watchers. Some commentators believe these reports could also explain why Meghan was linked again with Sunshine Sachs in early 2026. Others disagree entirely and argue there could be many routine business reasons for working with a public relations firm. At this stage, there is no public evidence proving any connection between those events, but the timing has encouraged plenty of debate. To understand why this discussion has attracted so much attention, it helps to look at how prenuptial agreements often work. In many cases, they define what property each person owned before marriage, explain how jointly acquired assets may be divided, and establish financial protections if the relationship eventually ends. For couples with significant wealth or public profiles, these agreements can become far more detailed, especially when businesses, trademarks, publishing rights, and entertainment contracts are involved.
I do think that when you're mocked so publicly as they've been, their value begins to nosedive pretty quickly. And I don't think they're finding any more sources of income.
Radar reports that one longtime friend, which in the case of Meghan feels like an oxymoron, described their relationship as powered by the storms around them and not much else. They said, there have been periods when the turmoil never seemed to stop, and strangely, it kept them united.
Royal marriages can introduce additional legal complexities because personal assets, inherited wealth, titles, and institutional interests may overlap with commercial projects. Harry and Meghan's situation became even more unique after stepping away from royal duties and launching multiple business ventures in the United States.
As the fairy tale Prince Harry and Meghan Markle embarked on in 2016 become an absolute nightmare for them. Despite marrying in St. George's Chapel in Windsor, it seems like life hasn't been so rosy for the couple. They have gone through endless challenges, the vast majority of which are all self-inflicted. And this weekend, we had some new news that seems to kind of reiterate the idea that Meghan Markle, she wants to go back to the past. She wants to relive her glory days because she has hired Sunshine Sachs as her new PR representatives who are representing her back in 2016. And at the same time, Harry is in the UK fighting for a court case that really has no bearing on any of this, but we have heard endlessly that he wants to reestablish himself.
Major media partnerships, publishing projects, and brand development all became part of their professional lives, creating financial arrangements far more complicated than those of most couples. According to Bauer's reported sources, one section of the agreement allegedly focused on ownership of intellectual property, rather than simply dividing income. The discussion reportedly included projects connected to the Sussex brand, commercial partnerships, publishing rights, and other ventures developed during the marriage.
Now she's just stuck with this depressed ginger who has absolutely no family, no friends, and no money. This was not hashtag part of the plan. So what is she supposed to do now? Now, if she's smart, and she is that, she's very savvy, she will find a way to bounce past him to some other taker who might actually just love the guy. She will take her royal kids, who can still go by prince and princess, and find the...
It's all about the independence to do what she wants. And a billionaire husband will afford her things that she can't have with someone like Harry. So it just makes sense that she would want to be with a billionaire, because Harry just can't give her anything else anymore. He served his purpose. His purpose is over, and they're no longer aligned in purpose. So for her, it's time to move on.
Some commentators believe this would make such a provision especially valuable if disagreements ever emerged over future business interests. Perhaps the most attention-grabbing part of Bauer's account is his claim that the wording may not have been part of the original agreement signed before the wedding. Instead, he alleges changes were introduced later through an amendment connected to the couple's evolving business interests. That claim has not been publicly verified, but it has become one of the most heavily discussed parts of his latest commentary, especially because amendments to financial agreements are not unusual after major life events, expanding businesses, or significant changes in family circumstances. If Tom Bauer's account is accurate, the story becomes even more complicated after Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties. According to his reporting, the financial agreement connected to their marriage was not left untouched after the wedding. Instead, he claims it was updated as their lives changed dramatically.
A source claimed these Netflix projects are really pulling Harry and Meghan onto separate paths. Meghan is throwing herself into Hollywood, while Harry's focus is drifting back towards the UK and the world he walked away from. He sometimes feels sidelined in their brand, and it's putting a serious strain on things.
It is important to note that these claims have not been independently verified, but they have become a major topic of discussion among royal commentators because of the timing surrounding the couple's move to California and the launch of several major business ventures. Leaving royal life meant far more than changing where they lived. Harry and Meghan were entering the entertainment industry, creating new companies, negotiating high-value commercial agreements, and building a completely different financial future. Legal experts often point out that when couples experience major financial changes, updating agreements can be perfectly routine. According to Bauer's reported sources, however, this particular amendment may have carried much greater significance than a standard revision. Bauer also claims he spoke with legal professionals familiar with Meghan's earlier divorce from Trevor Engelson. According to his reporting, those individuals describe Meghan as someone who paid close attention to legal details and carefully reviewed important documents before signing them. They allegedly told Bauer that she approached negotiations methodically and wanted to fully understand every provision before reaching an agreement. These descriptions remain part of Bauer's reporting and have not been publicly confirmed by those involved. Based on those reported conversations, Bauer argues that Meghan's previous legal experience may have influenced how she approached later business arrangements. His theory is that protecting future earning potential became a major priority as Harry and Meghan began creating commercial partnerships outside the royal family. Whether that interpretation is correct remains open to debate, but it forms a central part of Bauer's overall argument.
Apparently Prince Harry is already talking to divorce lawyers?
So this is kind of interesting. This is the woman that the papers are citing for this reporting is a longtime royal insider, a socialite. She's been right. I've been following her because she's great TV. She's been right about a lot. And she's claiming she's heard from several sources now that he's hired a lawyer, and it happens to be somebody who's a great divorce lawyer and specializes in divorce. And it dovetails on other reports that he is spending a lot of his time in 2 hotels, one of which is in Montecito, another of which is not too far away, as an escape from her. It's entirely plausible. All they've done for 5 years is complain and moan and see themselves as downtrodden victims. That doesn't tend to spur a lot of feelings of love and happiness and close bonding. I mean, I guess in the crisis mode, it might.
Last week, we brought to you fresh news that Harry had been staying at the San Vicente bungalows to take a break from his family, despite owning a sprawling Montecito property together with Guesthouse. And this week, those rumours are intensifying.
The timeline has certainly attracted attention. In 2020, the couple announced major partnerships with companies in the entertainment industry, while also launching Archewell, which became the centre of many of their charitable and commercial activities. At the same time, reports indicate they were establishing trademarks, production companies, and other business structures that would shape their future careers for years to come. According to Bauer's sources, the reported amendment addressed far more than simply dividing income. He claims it also dealt with management responsibilities, ownership rights connected to business projects, and control over intellectual property developed during the marriage. Some commentators believe that if such provisions exist, they could become extremely important in any future business dispute. Others caution that no publicly available documents have confirmed these reported details. Another point Bauer highlights involves Sunshine Sachs, the public relations firm that represented Meghan during different periods of her public career. Some commentators have speculated that the firm's reported return in early 2026 could signal preparation for a larger communications strategy. Others argue there are countless ordinary reasons why high-profile public figures retain experienced PR advisors, making any connection to broader speculation impossible to prove.
Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable, but I mean, I don't think that he is going to get back in. I mean, I think that there are 2 reasons. One is I think that William wouldn't allow it. And secondly, the moment he got back to America, he immediately promoted Disney and his trip to Disney World, which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain.
The Express reported Harry is due back in California this week, and a debrief is expected following his travel, said a source. There's a lot to discuss, so the team has been summoned for a meeting towards the end of the week. The success of Harry's solo endeavors has shown that a new strategy might be needed. But Radar has warned for years now that it's deeper than the professional separation, that Meghan solidified throughout 2025 with the launches of With Love Meghan, As Ever, and Confessions of a Female Founder, to name a few. I mean, now she's also playing herself in movies. An insider told Radar they have been drifting apart for a while, with Harry's desire to return to the UK, where his old drinking buddies are, and with his hope to return to the very comfortable fold of the royal family, putting a real strain on their marriage. He's hated their bid for stardom with Netflix and Spotify getting pulled and them ending up ridiculed, and he's starting to miss England.
At this stage, there is no confirmed evidence linking the firm's involvement to any particular future event. Bauer also points to Meghan's recent business activity as part of what he describes as a broader pattern. Since 2022, she has continued developing projects under her own name, including trademark filings and lifestyle ventures that appear separate from Harry's public work. Many entrepreneurs choose to organize businesses this way for branding or operational reasons, but Bauer believes the timing deserves closer attention. That interpretation remains his opinion rather than an established fact. He also questions how the couple's reported entertainment agreements were structured behind the scenes. Although headlines frequently referenced figures as high as $100 million for the Netflix partnership, entertainment industry contracts rarely operate as one large upfront payment. Instead, many agreements are performance-based, with payments tied to completed productions, milestones, renewals, or audience targets. According to people Bauer reportedly spoke with, understanding that distinction is essential because the true financial value of such deals often depends on years of future performance rather than a single guaranteed payout announced in the headlines. As Harry and Meghan's media ventures continue to unfold, not every project developed the way early headlines had suggested. Their documentary series was released, and Meghan later launched her own lifestyle programming. However, several other announced projects never reached audiences, including the animated series Pearl, which was cancelled before production moved forward. That led many commentators to question how much of the couple's original entertainment plans would actually become reality.
At that moment last year, she was about to promote her Netflix series and didn't want to, firstly, be seen with Harry, and secondly, didn't want to go somewhere where she'd appear cheap and give it gratis. And this year, she is desperate to be seen.
Yeah.
And that's why she turned up. So I think she has a major problem, financially and professionally. And I think that Harry has a problem because he's lost his charity centre Bailey in Africa. He better up, and all these commercial deals are declining. I think that his reputation is somewhat toxic, and I think Invictus is his only lifeline, and there'll be problems with that too.
I mean, we've seen people leaving Invictus recently. Important, I think that's you mentioned the Disney special. Does the Disney special at all?
Tom Bauer argues that this period marked an important turning point. According to people he reportedly spoke with, the widely discussed figures attached to the couple's entertainment agreements represented potential maximum values rather than guaranteed payments. Some industry observers have similarly noted that these contracts are often tied to performance milestones, completed productions, and future deliverables instead of being paid in full upfront. Bauer claims that, based on information provided by his reported sources, the total amount ultimately received may have been considerably lower than the headline numbers frequently quoted in the media.
Breaking right now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle spent the week using the With Love Meghan promotional campaign to try and suggest that everything is rosy in their very, very rocky marriage. Not so fast, says Radar Online, which has revealed that the Sussex couple are now sleeping in separate beds. Let me take you through this bombshell, then we're going to get reaction from the royal YouTube sensation, according to Taz. Here's the report, though, from Radar Online. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's marriage is said to be under major strain as backlash has gotten under the Duchess's skin so much that she's sleeping apart from her husband and wondering whether or not she would be more popular on her own, Radar Online can reveal. Amid ongoing rumours about the Sussex's marriage being on the rocks, insiders told us Markle is cracking under the pressure of public scrutiny as she tries to claw her way back into Hollywood and launch her lifestyle brand, leaving her marriage to Harry hanging by a thread. Insiders told us Markle is starting to unravel and wonder if she would be better off as a solo act. Meghan is said to have even started to look.
Those figures have not been publicly confirmed, and the exact financial details of the agreements remain private. Still, the difference between public expectations and how entertainment contracts actually operate has become part of the broader conversation surrounding the couple's business ventures. What caught Bauer's attention even more was the timing of Meghan's independent business activity. Beginning around 2022, she started filing trademark applications connected to American Riviera Orchard and continued developing projects under her own name. At roughly the same time, additional business entities connected to her individual work reportedly began appearing in public records. None of this proves any future plans, but Bauer believes the sequence deserves closer examination. He also argues that reports about the couple's financial obligations should not automatically be viewed as signs of financial trouble. Instead, according to his reported conversations with advisors who work with wealthy clients, restructuring assets, creating separate business entities, and organizing property ownership can all be standard planning tools. Bauer believes these moves fit a recognizable legal strategy, while others argue they may simply reflect normal financial management for public figures with multiple businesses.
I would argue their Hollywood misadventure has been more of a nightmare than anything else. And they've gone from poor decision to bad decision to worse decision every single time. And with the hiring of Sunshine Sachs, I couldn't help but think, and Harry going back to the UK more or wanting to, can't help but think, if the two of them had a time machine and knowing what they know now, could have gone back to 2016, would they have made some different decisions? I can't help but wonder if the answer there is yes. Now, of course, this is just speculative, and they love their children. I'm sure to a certain extent they love each other, but we have a couple who has had a really unnecessarily difficult existence. And that's not the fault of the media. That is not the fault of his family. That's been their fault. Everything that has happened to them has been broadly their fault. And they can't seem to help recognize that. And so what they're doing, though, as things go sort of off the rail, is that they're regressing to, let's say, an earlier stage in life.
Bauer further points out that several of Meghan's more recent ventures have been associated primarily with her own brand rather than joint projects with Harry. He highlights her trademark filings, publishing work, media partnerships, and lifestyle initiatives as examples. Many business owners naturally separate individual brands from shared family businesses, but Bauer interprets this as part of a much larger pattern. That remains his analysis rather than an established fact. The most controversial part of Bauer's argument involves what he believes could happen if the couple were ever to separate. He claims that the reported legal provisions governing business interests, intellectual property, and commercial rights would become extremely important at that stage. However, because no such agreement has been made public, these claims remain speculative and cannot be independently verified. Some royal commentators have gone even further, speculating about possible consequences involving property ownership, business control, and future commercial opportunities. Others caution that predicting the outcome of any hypothetical legal proceeding is impossible without access to the actual documents or knowing the circumstances involved. Family law cases are highly individualized and outcomes depend on many factors beyond any single agreement.
The insider revealed Meghan has made it clear that if and when they do split, she would demand a hefty settlement and to keep her royal title. She won't go anywhere unless it's with a title, property, and a huge sack of money. Meghan will make a deal to protect herself. Wow. Tasha is with me now.
Yeah.
This is astonishing, but remember, it comes just weeks after that Vanity Fair bombshell that Meghan is already shopping the post-divorce book to publishers.
Bauer also questions whether Harry fully understands the legal and financial complexities surrounding the couple's business arrangements. As part of his commentary, he points to Harry's emotional public appearances and ongoing legal battles as signs that significant pressure may be building behind the scenes. Supporters of this theory believe those moments reflect deeper personal strain, while critics argue it is impossible to draw conclusions about the state of a marriage based solely on public appearances. According to Bauer's reporting, some people close to the situation have expressed concerns about the financial risks associated with Harry's continuing legal disputes. Whether those concerns have any connection to the couple's broader business planning remains unknown. For now, much of the discussion rests on interpretation rather than confirmed evidence, leaving royal observers divided over whether Bauer has uncovered genuine warning signs or simply presented another controversial theory that continues to fuel public debate. As the discussion comes to a close, Tom Bauer's overall conclusion remains one of the most debated parts of his reporting. Based on the sources he says he consulted, Bauer believes the legal arrangements surrounding Harry and Meghan's business interests could have consequences far beyond what the public has been told. However, none of the alleged documents or reported clauses have been released publicly, meaning many of his claims remain impossible to independently verify. That is exactly why this story has generated so much attention. Supporters of Bauer argue that his decades of investigative work give weight to the questions he is raising. They believe the reported timeline, the business decisions, and the legal changes fit together in a way that deserves serious consideration.
Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they've made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry. Why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, it has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable, and everybody's living in absolute misery. And Harry only has himself to blame, because no matter if he wins this trial or not, he's still going to be miserable. I am going to do a deep dive into Meghan Markle's abysmal performance on Netflix. It's really bad, guys. She lost 60+% of her audience between season 1 and 2 of With Love, Meghan. That's really, really bad. So definitely something to go over. But obviously, with everything going on with Harry today, I feel like it's a need to talk about his big boy man tears. He's so emotional, guys. His poor wife. She lives in misery in her $16 million mansion with her 4 employees.
Others strongly disagree, arguing that much of the theory relies on interpretation rather than publicly available evidence, and that there are many perfectly ordinary explanations for the couple's business decisions. One of the biggest questions revolves around timing. Were the reported legal updates simply routine changes made as Harry and Meghan built an entirely new business empire after leaving royal life? Or could they have been part of a much larger financial strategy? At this stage, nobody outside the people directly involved can answer that with certainty. The same applies to the couple's recent professional decisions. Meghan has continued developing projects under her own name, while Harry has remained focused on separate charitable work, legal matters, and public appearances. Some commentators view that as a normal evolution of two people pursuing different careers. Others see it as another piece of a much larger puzzle. The truth is that only time will reveal which interpretation, if either, proves to be accurate. Another reason this topic continues making headlines is because Harry and Meghan remain among the most closely watched public figures in the world. Almost every business move, trademark filing, media partnership, or public appearance quickly becomes the subject of online debate. That makes separating confirmed facts from speculation increasingly difficult, especially when different commentators reach completely different conclusions from the same information. For now, there is no official confirmation that the reported legal provisions exist in the form Bauer describes, nor is there any verified evidence that the couple is moving toward the scenario some commentators have predicted.
Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem is that she turned up at Kevin Costner's.
Nevertheless, Bauer's investigation has certainly reignited discussion about how celebrity finances, business partnerships, and high-profile marriages are managed behind closed doors. Whether his theory eventually proves accurate or not, it has clearly added another chapter to the ongoing public conversation surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. As always, stories involving the royal family tend to evolve quickly, and new reports can completely change the picture in a matter of days. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think Tom Bauer has uncovered details that deserve closer attention? Or do you believe he's connecting separate events into a theory that goes too far? Share your opinion in the comments below, because this is one of those stories where people seem completely divided. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more celebrity news, royal updates, and the biggest entertainment stories. And if you want to stay caught up on the latest developments, make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the next video that's on your screen right now for even more celebrity drama and behind the headline stories. See you in the next one.